Last year on a research trip to Jerusalem, I got the opportunity to go inside the Dome of the Rock. Here are my thoughts on that experience, and here's also a bunch of footage that I took. Not all of it made it into my What is the Dome of the Rock video. Generally speaking, at least here in January 2019, non-Muslims are not allowed inside, but they are known to make exceptions. The research institute where I was staying had a special connection with a former architect who helped with some of the renovations of the place in the 20th century, so we got permission to go inside. We woke up fairly early to beat the tons of tourists that would eventually show up at the plaza. The whole place was pretty empty as the sun rose over the Haram al-Sharif. I made sure to get some pretty epic slow pans of the place. We took off our shoes at the entrance while a security guard checked our bags, and we walked inside. And I know it's cliche to say this, but it's beautiful. I think I took 4 or 5 shots just like this one, staring up at the dome, slowly panning over it, because I wanted to make sure to document it, and because I was mesmerized by it. Since Islamic art has at times discouraged depictions of people and animals, they've gotten really good at what's called aniconic artwork. Artwork without representing human figures or images. So, inside the Dome of the Rock, you see lots of geometric patterns or patterns based off of vegetation. So, notice here the flowers, the spindly vine-like motifs. It's a kaleidoscope of colors and designs. Honestly though, the thing that struck me the most was how ordinary it felt to see it in person. It's kind of a similar feeling you get meeting someone really famous. I don't know if you've ever run into a famous politician or celebrity before. I have a few times, and it always feels ordinary. Oh, this person is a real person. Huh, they look like a normal person. And I've always felt that way for famous buildings I've seen too. I visited the Parthenon in Athens, the Colosseum in Rome, and they're cool, they're impressive, and it's surreal to see something in person that you've only seen in pictures because it makes it real. It grounds you in reality as you try to draw connections between the space you're standing in and the opinions you've already formed of the space based off of other contexts where you've seen it. For the Parthenon, you've seen it in travel posters or documentaries or video games. For the Dome of the Rock, you might have heard about it in a political or religious debate. At least I have, because I've studied religion. So it's jarring to stand in a building while at the same time mentally connecting it with the knowledge that it's a source of controversy for some people. It also felt a little surreal to see it in active use too. Notice the scaffolding, notice the plastic chairs, the piles of Qurans. This is not a museum. This is not the type of sacred space that no one can touch. The local population in Jerusalem actively use it. This again puts it in contrast to other famous buildings I've seen. The Parthenon is no longer used as a temple to Athena. It's a tourist destination. But the Dome of the Rock had ordinary people just going about their day, praying, reading the Quran. Little things like electric lights and digital readouts of when to pray all stood out to me as modern amenities in a 7th century building. And I thought this was really cool. It points to the continuation of religious practice over the course of 1400 years of Islamic history, and it points to continuous adaptation of ancient sacred space. That's cool. But because it's still in use, I actually felt a little awkward. We were the only tourists inside, we were taking pictures. So notice the camera clicking sound effects. I couldn't help but feel like we were intruding on some other people's daily worship. This was especially true walking down into the grotto underneath the rock. A Muslim woman was down there in what I guess was private prayer or contemplation, and as soon as our tour group noisily clattered down the stairways, she got up and left. I really don't blame her, as a bunch of noisy American archaeologists probably break the meditative silence of the place. Overall though, it's one of those experiences that I'll take with me for the rest of my life, not just as a religious studies scholar or a scholar of the late antique Mediterranean world, but just as a person trying to understand other cultures and other religions. It's eye-opening to see one of the holiest sites for the 2nd largest religion in the world and know what it's like to be there on an ordinary day. Thanks for watching. Let me know if you'd like to see some of my other travel footage. I have hours of it and I really don't know what to do with it. And I'll see you next time.